Welcome to our deep dive into one of Australia's most iconic pieces of currency, the 50-cent coin of 1973. If you're a coin enthusiast, a collector, or simply curious about Australia's history, you're in the right place. Today we'll explore the fascinating story behind this coin, its design, and why it still holds a special place in the hearts of many Australians. The early 1970s was a transformative time for Australia. The country was experiencing rapid social and political change, and these changes were reflected in the nation's coinage. It was in 1973, at the height of these changes, that the Australian government made a bold move in redesigning the 50-cent coin, creating something truly distinctive that would carry significant cultural and historical value. Before 1973, Australia's 50-cent coin was round, just like many other coins around the world. But in 1973, something remarkable happened. The Royal Australian Mint introduced a new design that would set the Australian 50-cent coin apart. It was now 12-sided, much larger than the standard 5, 10, and 20-cent coins, and it had a bold, new look. With its hefty weight and unique shape, the 1,97350 coin stands as one of the most visually striking pieces of Australian currency. But what was the reason for this drastic change? Was it just for looks, or was there something more behind it? At the time, Australia was grappling with inflation and rising production costs. The round 50-cent coin was quite large, and its production was expensive. The 12-sided design was not only more cost-effective, but also more practical. It stood out easily from other coins and could be more efficiently minted. The reverse of the 50-cent coin, designed by artist Stuart Devlin, features the Australian coat of arms. This coat of arms is rich in symbolism, with a kangaroo and an emu standing on either side of a shield. These two animals were chosen for their unique status in Australia. They are native to the country, and they cannot walk backwards, symbolizing progress and forward movement. The shield at the center represents Australia's 6 states, all united under one nation. The kangaroo facing left and the emu facing right are positioned in a way that highlights the balance between the two. The design reflects Australia's national identity, both in terms of its natural beauty and the unity of its people. The Australian coat of arms was already a powerful symbol of the nation, and placing it on the 50-cent coin solidified this connection. On the obverse of the coin, we have the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by British sculptor Arnold McShin. This effigy had been used since the introduction of decimal currency in 1966, and it continued to be featured on Australian coins throughout her reign. Alongside the Queen's image, we see the inscription Elizabeth II, Australia, and the year of mintage, 1973. Throughout the 1970s, the 50-cent coin became a familiar part of daily life in Australia. At 31.65 millimeters in diameter and 15.55 grams in weight, it was noticeably larger and heavier than other coins. But despite its size, it became a staple in the Australian economy, used for everything from small purchases to larger transactions. People could feel the weight of the coin in their pockets, and its unique design made it easy to identify. 1973 was also a time of significant change for Australia. Politically and socially, the nation was evolving. Australia had just withdrawn from the Vietnam War, and Indigenous rights were becoming a more prominent issue. The redesign of the 50-cent coin in 1973 was part of this broader national transformation, reflecting both a growing sense of identity and an awareness of the need to modernize. Even today, the 50-cent coin from 1973 holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and history buffs alike. Though it was minted in large quantities, its historical significance makes it a prized piece. It's not just a coin, it's a symbol of Australia's evolution as a nation. Over the years, the 50-cent coin has undergone a few changes, but the 1973 version remains iconic. While its size and shape have been retained, the design has been updated in later years, but the original 1973 design still carries a distinct sense of nostalgia. The 12-sided coin, first introduced in 1969 and redesigned in 1973, continues to be one of the most unique coins in circulation in Australia. For coin collectors, the 197,350 coin is often sought after due to its design and place in history. Its large size and striking look make it a standout in any collection, and its historical context makes it even more valuable. Some people even consider it a symbol of Australia's modernization and national pride during the nation's history. The camera zooms in on a coin being dropped into a vending machine or used in a modern-day transaction. While the use of the 50-cent coin has waned in recent years due to the rise of electronic payments, it's still seen in circulation today. Many Australians still remember using it in their childhood or seeing it in their parents' pockets. The coin continues to be a reminder of a time when Australia was evolving and forging its path into the modern world. The coin spins on the screen, slowly coming to a stop as the video fades out. So the next time you see an Australian 50-cent coin, take a moment to appreciate its history. From its iconic design to its representation of Australia's national identity in the 1970s, the 50-cent coin of 1973 is much more than just currency. It's a snapshot of a pivotal time in Australia's history. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating looks at numismatics and history. Until next time. Next up, the 50-cent coin from 1994. Whether you're a seasoned collector, a history enthusiast, or just someone curious about Australian currency, this video will take you through the story behind this fascinating coin. The 1990s was a decade of change and transition for Australia. As the country entered the era of globalization, it also witnessed significant economic shifts, and the evolution of its currency was no exception. In this video, we'll explore how the 199,450 coin played a role in this transformation, alongside its design, significance, and the story it tells about Australia's national identity. Before diving into the 1994 coin itself, let's take a step back and explore the history of the 50-cent coin. Introduced in 1969, the 50-cent coin was one of the first major redesigns in Australia's decimal currency system, which replaced the old imperial coinage. But it wasn't until the 1990s that the coin would be updated again to reflect modern changes. By the early 1990s, Australia's coinage had undergone a series of updates, while the 50-cent coin from 1973 had become a symbol of the country's new direction. The 1994 redesign would reflect yet another shift, this time to honor Australia's rich cultural heritage and unique national identity. So, what makes the 199,450 coin different from earlier versions? Let's start with the design. The reverse side of the 199,450 coin features a striking and historically significant image, the Australian coat of arms, just like the 1973 version. However, in 1994, a small but important change occurred. The 1994 version of the coin features a slightly updated rendering of the Australian coat of arms, which was introduced in 1908. The design still showcases the kangaroo and emu, two of Australia's most recognizable and cherished animals, standing on either side of the shield. These animals were chosen because neither can walk backwards, symbolizing Australia's forward-thinking, nature, and progress. What's interesting about the 1994 redesign is that the coin retained the 12-sided shape introduced in 1969. However, subtle changes in the detailing and refinement of the coat of arms design made the 1994 coin distinct. It's a perfect example of how Australian numismatic designs evolve over time, keeping the nation's identity intact while reflecting the changes of each new era. Flipping the coin over, we see the obverse side, which features the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by British sculptor Arnold Machin. This portrait had been used on Australian coins since 1966 and remained unchanged in 1994. It's a design that spans multiple decades and continues to be iconic for Australian currency. By 1994, the 50-cent coin was already an established part of everyday life in Australia. While its size and weight made it distinctive, it wasn't the most commonly used coin. However, it had become a fixture in the economy, used for a wide range of purchases, from bus fares to small items in stores. The 1990s were a time of economic change for Australia, as the country navigated through the effects of a global recession and rising inflation. The coinage system had to adapt. The 50-cent coin was often used in tandem with other coins of lower values, and its role in transactions remained important, even as Australia became increasingly cashless in the following decades. For collectors, the 199,450 coin is part of a larger series of Australian coins, each telling the story of the nation's progress. While this coin is not rare, it holds significant value in the world of numismatics, especially for those interested in the evolution of Australia's currency design. The 199,450 coin is special to collectors because it marks a period of continuity in Australia's coinage. While it features the same design elements as earlier coins, the subtle refinements in the details make it distinct. It's a coin that's part of a much larger historical context, reflecting Australia's identity as a nation that values tradition, but also looks toward the future. Collectors often appreciate the 1994 version of the 50-cent coin not just for its place in Australian history, but for its significance in the continuity of the country's coinage. It was produced in large quantities, and over the years, its value has been driven by both demand and the ongoing fascination with Australia's rich numismatic past. Though the 50-cent coin's use has dwindled somewhat in the digital age, it remains an important part of Australia's monetary system. Its distinctive 12-sided shape ensures that it stands out, while the coat of arms design continues to symbolize Australia's unity and progress. In fact, today the 50-cent coin is a favorite among collectors. Many seek out older versions, like the 1994 coin, because of its historical context and connection to Australia's growth during the 1990s. Whether you're an investor in numismatics or just a casual collector, owning a piece of this history can be incredibly rewarding. So, what's the legacy of the 199,450 coin? Well, it's not just about its design or its value, it's about what it represents. This coin stands as a reminder of a pivotal time in Australia's history, when the country was growing and defining its place in the world. A coin like this tells the story of Australia's identity, its resilience, and its progress. Next up, the 50-cent coin from 1998. Whether you're a dedicated collector, a history buff, or simply curious about Australian currency, this video will take you through the story behind this iconic coin. Australia in the 1990s was a time of cultural change, economic shifts, and growing national identity. As Australia entered the new millennium, it reflected on its past, while looking ahead to the future. The 50-cent coin of 1998 sits as a piece of that transition, a coin that represents not only the nation's history, but its progression into modern times. The 50-cent coin has been a significant part of Australia's decimal currency since its introduction in 1969. Its distinctive 12-sided design, first introduced in 1969, set it apart from other coins. But by 1998, a significant update was made, reflecting Australia's evolving national story. Let's take a look at what made the 199,850 coin stand out. Now, let's take a closer look at the design. The 199,850 coin features the traditional Australian coat of arms on the reverse side. The coat of arms, introduced in 1908, has become a hallmark of Australian identity, featuring a kangaroo and an emu, two animals synonymous with Australia. These animals were chosen because they cannot walk backward, symbolizing forward progress. The coat of arms design on the 1998 coin, however, was part of a tradition that had been slightly refined over the years. The kangaroo and emu stand proudly beside a shield representing Australia's 6 states. Their stance, forward-looking and proud, encapsulates Australia's national strength and unity, and the design is a reminder of the country's continued development. Another defining feature of the 50-cent coin is its unique 12-sided shape. While the design has evolved slightly over the years, the shape remains unchanged since it was first introduced in 1969. This shape gives the 50-cent coin its distinct look and feel, and it's easily recognizable amongst other coins in Australia's currency system. On the obverse side of the coin, we see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by British sculptor Arnold Machen. This design had been in use since 1966, and by 1998, it was still featured on Australia's coins, reflecting the monarchy's role in the country's governance at the time. The Royal Australian Mint, responsible for producing Australia's coinage, struck millions of these 50-cent coins in 1998. The coin was minted in a copper-nickel alloy, which gave it its distinctive weight and durability. It was one of the more commonly circulated coins at the time, used for a variety of small transactions, from public transport fares to everyday purchases. During the 1990s, Australia was in the midst of economic change. After the economic recession of the early part of the decade, the country was beginning to see growth again. The 50-cent coin, like the rest of the currency, played an important role in daily life, circulating widely in everyday transactions, and providing a connection to Australia's past as it moved toward the new millennium. The 50-cent coin of 1998, like its predecessors, became a vital tool in everyday commerce. It was used by Australians for everything, from vending machines to bus fares, and its larger size made it easy to identify among the other coins. But in 1998, it wasn't just about practicality. The coin was also a symbol of Australia's history, its values, and its national pride. While the 199,850 coin wasn't a special edition or a limited release, its significance lies in its place in the ongoing evolution of Australia's coinage. It was a coin that marked an era, the final years of the 20th century, when the country was preparing for the challenges and opportunities of the new millennium. Numismatists and collectors often seek out coins like the 199,850 piece because of its place in Australia's larger coinage history. It's not as rare as some commemorative coins, but it represents an important era in Australia's development. Its design, while consistent with previous versions, holds historical weight as it captures a nation on the verge of great change. In 1998, Australia was also seeing significant political changes, with the federal election marking a major point in the country's political landscape. The country was reflecting on its relationship with the British monarchy, its role in the Asia-Pacific region, and its position in the global community. The 50-cent coin from this year, with its symbolism of unity and progress, was a fitting emblem of Australia's growing confidence. Fast forward to today, and the 50-cent coin is still in circulation. The coin has evolved over the years, but its design continues to reflect Australia's deep cultural and historical roots. While the use of physical currency has decreased with the rise of digital payments, the 50-cent coin remains a part of Australian life, a reminder of the country's history and its development over the years. So there you have it, the Australian 50-cent coin of 1998, a coin that represents both continuity and change in Australia's history. Whether you're holding it in your hand or admiring it in a collection, this coin is much more than just currency. It's a symbol of a nation's journey into the modern era. Next up, the 50-cent coin from the year 2000. With the turn of the millennium, Australia was on the verge of exciting new changes. The 50-cent coin of this year not only reflects that moment in time, but also carries a story about a nation embracing its future while honoring its past. Let's take a closer look. Australia at the turn of the 21st century was experiencing an era of transformation. The country was becoming increasingly connected to the world, with globalization reshaping its economy and its place in international affairs. At the same time, Australians were reflecting on their cultural heritage and their unique identity. The 50-cent coin minted in 2000 is a perfect reflection of this dual focus, honoring the past while looking toward the future. The 50-cent coin has been a part of Australia's decimal currency since 1969, with its distinctive 12-sided shape making it one of the most recognizable coins in the world. Over the years, the design has evolved, with each iteration symbolizing Australia's growth as a nation. The 2000 version of the 50-cent coin was particularly significant, as it marked the end of the 20th century and the beginning of a new millennium. Designed to be the most conventional, let's start with the design. The reverse side of the 200.50 coin features the Australian coat of arms, the symbol that's been used on Australian coins for more than a century. However, there's something truly special about the 2000 version of the coin. It commemorates a monumental event in Australian history, the centenary of Federation. The Australian coat of arms was first granted by King Edward VII in 1908, and it continues to symbolize Australia's unique national identity. It features a kangaroo and an emu, two animals that cannot walk backward, signifying Australia's forward-looking spirit. The shield represents Australia's 6 states, and the crest atop the shield symbolizes the unity of these states within the Commonwealth. In 2000, the Australian government issued a special version of the 50-cent coin to commemorate the centenary of Federation. This coin marks 100 years since the Commonwealth of Australia was established in 1901, bringing together the 6 states of Australia into one unified nation. It's a historical moment that's reflected in the design, with the word Federation prominently featured on the reverse side of the coin. The centenary of Federation was celebrated across Australia, with a series of events highlighting the country's development over the past century. The 50-cent coin was a part of this celebration, offering people a tangible piece of history to mark the occasion. The year 2000 was also a time of reflection, as Australia pondered its future and its relationship with the world, the monarchy, and its Indigenous heritage. Turning the coin over, we find the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by British sculptor Arnold Machen. This portrait had appeared on Australian coins since 1966, and in 2000 it continued to reflect the connection between Australia and the British monarchy. The portrait on the 2000 coin, however, came with a special edge. It was a part of the larger centennial celebration and marked a milestone in Australia's journey as a sovereign nation. Millions of these coins were produced by the Royal Australian Mint to commemorate the centenary of Federation, and the minting process was as precise as ever. The coins were struck using copper-nickel alloy, a material that gives the 50-cent coin its characteristic weight and durability. By the year 2000, Australia was a modern, fast-pacing society. While the 50-cent coin may not have been the most frequently used in terms of transactions, it held symbolic importance. The larger coins, such as the 50 cent, often served as reminders of Australia's history and were still widely used in vending machines, public transport, and small purchases. For coin collectors, the 200.50 coin holds a special place. Not only does it commemorate the centenary of Federation, but it also marks the turn of the millennium, a time of hope, reflection, and anticipation for the future. As Australia moved forward into the 21st century, this coin became a keepsake of the past, encapsulating a century of growth and change. Compared to earlier 50-cent coins, the 2000 version has a more detailed and refined design. The centenary of Federation coin captures Australia's pride in its achievements, while still honoring the enduring symbols of the Australian coat of arms. It's a coin that bridges the past and future, serving as both a collector's item and a historical artifact. As we look back at the 200.50 coin, we see more than just a piece of currency. It's a reflection of a pivotal time in Australia's history. A century had passed since Federation, and Australia was stepping confidently into a new era. The coin, with its rich symbolism and design, serves as a reminder of both Australia's deep roots and its bright future. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of the 200.50 coin. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe for more amazing content about coins, history, and culture. Until next time, happy collecting. This script offers an engaging and informative look at the 2000 Australian 50-cent coin, emphasizing its role in the centenary of Federation and its place in the larger historical context of Australia's turn of the millennium. It blends visual appeal, historical context, and numismatic value to create a rich educational experience for viewers.